Good morning, Friday morning, and I've just come into work and it is hot. Well, it's not hot, but it's just warm, and I haven't felt warm for quite a while, to be honest with you, which is why I'm sat here in my t-shirt, uh, which isn't typically Australian at this moment in time. And I mean, even walking in this morning, it was quite warm, warmer than usual. We have had a lot of rain, so I know when it rains a lot, it does warm it up slightly. So I haven't had my hot water bottle either. So that is a change. Certainly a change. I had my electric blanket on this morning, but that's just, habitual, I reckon. So um, this week I wanted to talk a little bit about Spain. Now, going back my original blogging when I left the UK. So I left the UK in 2015, 16, sorry. We got married in the 2015 and we decided to start a new life in Spain. We'd had such a rubbish time beforehand and we just thought, you know what, we just need a fresh start. So in the days before Brexit, when you could just take off and go where you want, we did it. And it's always been our dream to live in Europe. We thought about Italy for quite a while, and which would have been nice, but we decided on Spain mainly because of the expat community and speaking English. There isn't such a big expat community in Italy, especially where we wanted to live. We wanted to live sort of in Sorrento, Amalfi, down sort of the south coast of Italy. So anyway, we decided on Spain, and it was quite a bizarre. How can I put it? It was quite bizarre the way we chose where to go, and we literally just put a pin in a map or close our eyes and put a finger on a map, and we ended up in a place called Gran Alacant. So we knew vaguely where we wanted to be. We wanted to be sort of between, gosh, Benidorm and Torrevieja, so along that southern coast. And initially we thought Benidorm. I think if we chose Benidorm, life would have been very, very different. I don't think. I mean, look, Benidorm's great. It's a great place to visit, and I've been there many times myself. But it's not a great place to live. I don't think I would have coped, to be honest with you. It's it's kind of like Blackpool. For those who know Blackpool, it's Blackpool by the sea, in the sun. Basically, that's what it is. And it's not a place or community where you could sort of live and thrive. I don't think. Certainly not at my age. I mean, at that time, I was sort of mid to late 40s. Don't get me wrong, I know a few people who have done very well living in Benidorm and also on the islands as well. And, it suits them, but they're a lot younger than me, hell of a lot younger. So, yeah, we chose Gran Alacant, or our fingers chose Gran Alacant. And I remember distinctly the day I turned up. The weather was atrocious, and it was first day of February. We arrived in. Me and a friend Jamie arrived in Alicante, and we stayed the night in a hotel. And the other half was driving down in a lorry with a friend, another friend, and our two cats. They sort of drove from Portsmouth, went across the channel, drove down through France, northern Spain, and to our new home in Alicante. And I remember saying to my husband, I'm not going to sit in that van with you for that length of time. We'll end up killing each other. So I got the flight and he drove down. Suited me fine. I certainly did not want to be travelling for, I think they were travelling for a couple of days, didn't get a lot of sleep, and they had to stay at pet hotels because of the two cats. Anyway, when we arrived, the weather was abysmal. It was February. It was freezing cold, and the house we had was on the top of a ravine. The views were absolutely out of this world. You can't fault the views, but my God, in the winter it was cold. There was mould growing up the walls. They only had single glazing, rather like Australia actually. There was single glazing, freezing, and being on the top of a ravine, and you had views of Alicante, and you had the sea just to the right hand side. My God, the rain would bout through. It would almost be horizontal into the windows and the front door, and we had many times clearing up floods in that house. Loved being there, the location, but I hated the house with passion. It was freezing, absolutely freezing. You know, in the end, we got one of those, oh my God, portable Calagas fires that you used to have in the 80s, and it sort of took the chill off. But all the windows were closed, and it just stunk of gas. It's probably highly dangerous, to be fair. So, um, it was kind of like the Wild West, like I call it. It wasn't really, but you know, we turned up with a small amount of money, and determined to make it in Spain. And I worked in where did I work first? Worked in a charity shop actually, a donkey horse rescue charity shop. So I worked there for a bit, which was great. Um, I also worked for Dunbar's family restaurant, and I was a chef. Well, I wasn't a chef. I was actually what would you call me? Sous chef. I did all the the frying and the cooking and stuff like that. I certainly didn't devise menus and all that type of stuff, but that was great as well. I mean, the Dunbar family were absolutely amazing, and met all of them, and they were a real hoot. To be honest with you, um, missed them. Really do miss them. So from there, I went to, gosh, what was I? I can't even remember. I think I did teaching after that. So I was teaching for a bit in a school in a nearby city called Ouchy, and I was teaching Spanish kids English, and adorable, lovely kids. They really wanted to learn, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was fantastic. Didn't do much work thereafter, if I'm honest, and that's kind of when Spain sort of started to go downhill. I was working in a bar at Sierra Mar, Plaza Mar, Plaza Mar, which is sort of down the bottom. Gran Alacant is sort of on the top of hills, hence us living on a ravine. And at the bottom, Plaza Mar, there was a new bar, Lounge D, which I was running um, with my boss at the time. And, you know, I was there for quite a while, a few months. And, you know, when I look back, it was kind of like ducking and diving. There was never steady work. To be employed in Spain is really expensive. The contracts were expensive, etc., etc. So you were always on a minimal contract, and if you did over and above that, fine. But you were always on that minimal contract. So there wasn't the security that there was in the UK job wise. Um, as I said, the expense. So I got an itchy nose. I always get an itchy nose when I come in here. I think it's the fabrics. Um, so yeah, it was always a bit of ducking and diving, and you got money when you could. It was cheap to live. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was surviving on like €20 a week at one stage, but the money was not there. My husband was going back and forth between Spain and Australia. He was caring for mum at the time who had just been diagnosed with cancer. So he was also back and forth. He eventually settled with me, and I knew home. We were at the bottom of the ravine, thank God. It was a lot warmer, and we were sort of opposite a national park, which were beautiful views, lovely. And we used to go walking there quite a lot, to be honest. So he got a job at the airport. I was at Lounge D, and actually we were quite well off, if I'm honest. But I think in the end, I think we both decided that Spain, as much as we loved it, we couldn't dedicate life to it. Husband was going back and forth with his mum. My mum was seriously ill in the UK. So I think at that stage, I decided to go out to the UK, and yeah, the other half went to Australia. So we went our separate ways for a short while he was caring for his mum and I was there for my mum. And there are a few people I hear from Spain. I've said this so many times, but there are a few people I hear from in Spain all the time, and they are some really good friends. I think of all the places I've lived, the people I knew there were the best. Gran Alacant is a fantastic community. Now, a couple of days ago, I heard from, or I messaged a friend, June, who was one of the first people I met in Gran Alacant. I remember attending her 60th birthday party, and she had a ladies' day theme, and I dressed as a lady. And it was a really memorable day. I had to go to work after that, believe it or not. But look, I had a great day spent with June and all the expat community in Sierra Mile, and it was at Zest and at Dick Turpin's, which is another one of the bars as it was then. I was talking to June a few days ago, and she was explaining just how much the place had changed. It's huge. It's got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, part of the charm with Gran Alacant is it was quite small. The community was quite small, and we all looked out for one another. I knew most of the people there. You could walk along the streets. You could wave, say hi, and people knew you. Now it's got really big. And she was saying she no longer lives there. She lives in a place called Albia, which is just near Benidorm. But when she goes back, she says she's always amazed by just how much it does change, faces, people, etc., etc. And it was always my dream to actually move back to Spain at some point, possibly when I'd retired or had enough money to do so. And I always had my heart set on Gran Alacant. But from what June said, it's kind of not, it's not put me off the idea, because I still want to return to Spain. But maybe I will locate somewhere with a smaller community, somewhere, I don't know, maybe inland a bit more. Although I do like being by the sea, and that was the great charm of Gran Alacant. You were right by the sea, and you were right by the airport. You were about 15-20 minutes from the airport. So you have the best of both worlds. You could travel, see the rest of Europe, travel across the world, wherever you wanted to be. You were very central, but you weren't in the UK, and that was just a bonus, a plus. Being in Australia, it puts everything into context, and I think you realise just how much you miss that small community feel, because you don't get that here so much. In fact, I've not seen it at all. It's kind of like me and the other half against the world, because we don't have, we're not part of a community as such. There is an expat community here, but it's not the same as it is in Spain. And I think the biggest problem is Brexit. Brexit changed a lot. So the English bar, which was Zest then, has been bought by a Norwegian group, syndicate, or whoever they are. So they now own that. So that was a big part of my life. Zest was like my local, and I went down there for a coffee after a walk and knew everyone there. It was a great place to be. That's all changed completely. That is sad. So a lot of what I fell in love with is no longer there. So that's what puts me in two minds about what to do in the future. I mean, look, we could go and live in Thailand. We could go somewhere else. But I think my heart really is in Spain, and it always will be. It was the lifestyle, the the lack of money was actually a really, it was a happy time. I didn't care that I didn't have any money. I was just living in Spain. That's fine. So lots of thinking to do, you know, speaking to June over the last few days has brought back a lot of wonderful memories. She's going to um, go around Gran Alacant for me and take some pictures, just because you know I want to see the place. I haven't seen it for so long. Writing my articles in Spain for the GA advertiser with the column Chatter really got me involved in a way that I hadn't before in any other place that I'd lived. So being able to write that column and sort of adjust to Spanish life and give my views on Spanish life was really important. And I do hope that whatever we decide for the future, Spain is a part of that. Even if we own a small part of it, maybe a small apartment in Gran Alacant, somewhere we could go to or have a base in Europe, under the current Brexit terms, we can't spend too long there anyway. But I'd like to have a base there. So I will be looking to do that in the future. But for now, Australia's home, and despite my moans and groans, I do love it, and it's given me opportunities that no other place has, even Spain. It's got a lot of plus points, but the biggest down point for me is the lack of community feel here, and we just don't have the friends that I had either back home or in Europe. So, you know, we make the most of what we've got. I think we're making money. That's all that matters. So, anyway, have a good week. Make loads of money. Oh, I was going to say this. I I did a little bit of googling, so I googled my name, Luke Martin Jones, just to see what come up, and apparently I'm worth $5 million. Why I'm still working, why clearly I'm just doing it for love. Why I'm still working, etc., is beyond me. I'm not worth $5 million, I can assure you. And AI or Google or whatever it is often gets things wrong. So be very careful what you Google. I'm going. Have a good one. Ciao.